the real, raw, honest conversations about parenting teenagers in today's world. No filters, no sugarcoating, just truth, compassion, and practical insight from experts, educators, and parents who are right in the trenches alongside you. This podcast is where parents come to hear the conversations they didn't even know they needed. My mission is simple: to help you feel supported, informed, and empowered so you can build the connection with your teen that you truly want. If you want to go deeper into this work with me, stay until the end, and I will share how you can connect with me. From my heart to yours, thank you for being here, for doing the hard work of parenting, and for choosing to grow right alongside your teen. Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for Today's World, where we have the real and the raw and the honest conversations about raising our incredible teens in uncharted territory. These are the conversations you may not even know you needed. And here's the hard truth. Parents, it's not them, it's you. But that's where the magic happens, because we get to learn how we want to show up every day as a parent. We get to choose. And today's guest is Margot Machol Bisnow, author of Raising an Entrepreneur, a book that challenges everything we've been told about success and what it looks like in parenting. Margot has spent over a decade speaking to parents about how to raise children who are not successful, but fearless, creative, confident, resilient, and filled with joy and purpose. And that, to me, is success. With a background that includes 20 years in government, serving as FTC commissioner and advisor at the highest levels, along with raising two sons who have built their own entrepreneurial paths, Margot brings both professional and insight and lived experience into this conversation. Margot, I'm so glad you're here, because this is the conversation that parents did not even know they needed. So welcome to the show, Margot.
Thank you so much. And by the way, that is how I define success.
Beautiful.
And I was just mentioning to Cheryl that I've just come off Summit at Sea, which is 2,000 people on a boat listening to talks and communicating and everything. And I went to a parenting talk, and the woman said something that just made me crazy. She said, we all want our kids to be successful, and by that we all mean rich. And I want to scream, no, no,
No,
no.
It's the other way around. It's when you do what you love, the money just comes. It's secondary. Like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I love this. And I'm going to, for those on YouTube, I'm holding up Margot's book because it is such a beautiful book, a beautiful cover. I loved reading it. And the stories in there are incredible. Margot, first, let's talk about why you even did this. What's your mission? What is the point?
So why I did this is a little different from what is the point. So I'll start with the first and then I'll end up with the second. So why I did this is my older son, Elliot, 18 years ago this month, had the first summit meeting. It's grown into this enormous event with tens of thousands of people. And I started going to all these conferences of young entrepreneurs. And I'd never met anybody like this before. And I'd walk up to them and I'd say, how did you turn out the way you did? I was just so curious, taking on so much risk and working so hard to achieve a goal. And they all told me the same thing. They all said I had someone who believed in me, who told me I could do anything I put my mind to. Usually that someone was a family member, and even more usually it was their mom, but not always. Sometimes it was a grandma, a stepdad, a teacher, a neighbor, usually their mom. But
Yeah.
Anyhow, I was so struck by this. I kept talking about it to the kids, and they said, you had to write a book. I'm like, I can't write a book. And they said, no, you have to write a book. I can't write a book. And they said, you have to write a book. I'm like, okay, I'll write a book. So I started going into it. I started doing research. I started talking to hundreds of people. And I wanted a very diverse group, half men, half women, every race, religion, socioeconomic background, born here, born overseas, immigrant parents, families who've lived here for generations, small towns, big cities, small families, big families, married, divorced, single moms, everything I could think of. And it blew my mind, Cheryl, that they were all raised the same.
Wow.
I was like, what? What?
Oh my gosh.
And then I got so excited about this book. And that's what I've just been trying to, like, this has been like my mission ever since, is to get the word out. Because as you know, with your podcast and your experience, there's so many unhappy kids now, so many unhappy teens, which means, of course, there's unhappy parents. And I think it's because the parents want so much for their kids to be successful. And so they're pushing them to do what worked for them when they were growing up. It's a different world, doesn't work anymore. It might work. You might have a kid who just only wants to study science and just can't wait to be a doctor. That's great, but it's not going to work for everybody. And you have to keep your eyes open, and you have to see, what is it about my child? And people tell me, like, they're in high school, you know, their kids are in high school, and I'm like, what's their passion? And they're like, I don't know. And I'm just like, okay, either you're not paying attention, or else when they indicate that they like something, you say, stop spending so much time cooking or sewing or writing music or dancing or doing your sports or whatever, and go study your trigonometry. Like, really? Like, nobody needs trigonometry, like, unless you want to be like an astronaut or something.
I remember ever using it since grade 10. So yeah.
Like, let them do what gives them joy.
I love that. And, you know, there's all of these, you know, describe your book first, the setup, the format for people to understand. Like, it's such an easy read, but it's such a beautiful read. So describe the format of the book.
Yeah, so I ended up with these sort of 10 rules, sort of 10 ways that things that all the parents did the same. And then I divided them into stories. And each, I mean, I can just show you a couple. Each story is 2 to 4 pages, and it starts with a picture of them when they were young and a picture of them grown up. So
love it.
It's very approachable. It's very readable. It's easy to read because the stories are 2 to 4 pages long. And it's just so fun to say, like, wow, these were like dorky teenagers, and now they're like these, you know, billionaires, like, or whatever, you know?
You know, there's so many of the stories are beautiful, but as I was reading through, especially like the beginning of the book, I was writing frantically these notes. And one thing really resonated with me is that I'm 61 and just really launching a whole new business, and my passion, like it is. And I was lucky enough to have a career in teaching. That was also my passion. This is stemmed off. But when I get into these, you know, you join these groups and networking, and it's all people from 50 to 60. And they're all saying, oh, now it's time for me. And now I want to live my life. And I know there's more, and I have a passion. And I'm thinking, wow, like, your book cuts out the middleman. It cuts out the 30 years that our kids had a life designed for them, realized at 50, like, oh shit, like, the time is flying by and I haven't done anything I want. And I think that's so important. Like, can you talk to that? How you know, how can we just allow our kids to see and serve and honor their passion now, rather than just put that away for now. We'll see you in 40 years after you collect your 401.
Right. I mean, and I think if you say, like, even more specifically, Cheryl, if you say, like, to the parent, like, I just want to be sure I understand your goal for your child is that they'll spend 40 hours a week for 40 years doing something they don't like. You think this is a good goal for your child?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, you know, why can't we raise our kids? And this is big in my podcast, like, raise your kids to be their authentic selves. You can be your authentic self all you want. And if you think, oh, I want you to have the opportunities I didn't have, well, all the universities are still open. You can still go, but let your kid do what they want to do. They're still accepting applications as far as I know.
Right.
So let's talk about that. The division between, and all good intention. I know parents always do everything from love.
Their kids
always.
And when they were growing up, you had to do that.
Yes.
It's a different world today.
It is.
People don't necessarily, of course, if you want to be an investment banker, you need an MBA. If you want to be a doctor, you have to go to medical school. If you want to be an architect, if you want to be a lawyer. But if you don't want to be any of these things, you might not even have to go to college, or you could just go for a year or two, it's a different world. And kids today, like, their dream is not to join a company and be there for 40 years.
No. And, it's funny. What brings to mind is the conversation that I hear parents have. And when I was in the guidance department of the high school is, well, Mom, I'm going to be a star football player, or and worked at it, like not just said it, but didn't do anything. Or I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a gamer, but they were good. And then the parents would automatically go, but you need a backup plan because this might fail. Speak to the backup plan. And I'm asking you this because I've wanted to do this business as a podcast forever, but I stayed in teaching because that, just in case. When I removed the backup plan, when I actually retired and said, no, this is not for me. I don't want any other options. I don't want anything else to rely on. Man, did I ever move forward.
Yeah, no, you kind of have to throw yourself into it. And if it doesn't work, that's okay.
Yeah.
Because then you can throw yourself into something else.
Yes, exactly. I feel like, do you think we give kids a message when we say to them, okay, that's great, but here's something just in case that fails? What kind of message are we giving our kids?
Well, we are saying you don't believe in them. You're saying, I don't have any confidence that you can succeed at something that you put your mind to. And of course, maybe they won't, but that's okay. It has to be their decision that it's not going to work. And then they can take what they learned from it, and they can figure out what they want to do next. This is the second edition of my book. One reason I redid it is that they were all doing something else. All the entrepreneurs had moved on to a different, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
And we'll talk later about the importance of having a passion, but something like, sort of back to what you were saying, something like, 30 or 40% of them growing up, it was sports. And except for one of them who was a professional football player for a few years and now is a serial entrepreneur, except for him, nobody else became a professional athlete.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that playing sports in college, and becoming an elite athlete in high school and college was a waste of their time. 100% it was not a waste of their time.
Yeah. I feel like it's who you become in the journey. It's not the end. It's who you become as you build towards, as you take those actions, whether you're scared, whether you're not. And when something doesn't work out, that's just data. Oh, okay. Feed that into the computer. That's just data. This is something that clearly wasn't for me. What's next? Not, oh, I'm a failure. Now I'm going to go work at McDonald's. Not that working at McDonald's is a failure, but you know what I'm saying? It's just, when something, I don't even like to call it failure. It's a learning experience. It's just data. Okay. Or you get into something you think that you love dearly and you start doing it. It's like, oh, this is not for me. That's data. So you move on. Now I know what I don't love. What do I love? So that leads us right into the passion. Rule number 1, passion.
Okay. There's so many things I want to say about what you just said. One of them is failure. I think the biggest difference between people who become entrepreneurs and people who don't is their attitude toward failure. Doctors don't want to fail. Architects don't want to fail. Lawyers don't want to fail. Accountants don't want to fail. Mm-hmm. Entrepreneurs feel like failure is how they learn and grow.
Yes.
That failure is what makes them wiser. That failure is what gives them intuition. And failure and bouncing back from failure is how they've become resilient. And it's because they're resilient, they can be successful entrepreneurs. And people have this attitude toward failure because when they were growing up, their parents didn't scold them when they failed. Mm-hmm. Their parents said, what did you learn and what would you do differently next time? And that's true whether they didn't make the home run or they didn't do well on a test. Mm-hmm. They just said, what do you think you could have done differently? What did you learn from this? And every single entrepreneur told me, I wasn't afraid to fail. I always knew if it didn't work out and I had to move back home for a while, I could do that. And this gave me the courage to take risks.
Yeah. It's funny. I know we're going through these rules, and just to clarify for the audience, these are the rules that you found that parents of successful entrepreneurs implemented in their parenting. Is that right?
Not thoughtfully. I mean, not like, oh, I'm going to do this because then my kid's going to become an entrepreneur. It's just like that was their attitude toward failure.
Yes.
And none of them expected to have entrepreneurial kids. Yeah. And by the way, you can't make a kid an entrepreneur. You can create the systems so that they become entrepreneurial. Mm-hmm. Of the people in the book, there were only 5 who had a sibling who was an entrepreneur, and all of those 5 also had a sibling who wasn't an entrepreneur. And I think not everyone wants to take on that much risk. Not everyone wants to work that hard at something. Some people want to have a more balanced life, and that's okay. But if you're raised this way, you will be more entrepreneurial in whatever you do. You'll be a more entrepreneurial teacher.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, let's talk about that whole failure component, because I think episode 5, I've done 165 episodes. Episode 5, because it was such a priority for me, was an episode on helicopter parenting. And so for those of you who don't know that term, it's like you dive in, you fix everything, your kid doesn't fail, you're interrupting their journey, ups and downs. And there's so many messages that we give kids. And number one is you're not giving them the skills to pick themselves up, dust themselves off, and keep going. But there's also, and speak to this underlying message where parents are saying, I don't have faith in you. I don't have faith in you to fix this. So I'm going to fix it for you. Well, what happens after grade 12? What happens? Let's speak to failure, because I think it's such an important topic.
It's such an important topic. And parents screw up in several ways with this. Yeah. And the other way is that they say, it wasn't your fault.
Yes.
It wasn't your fault. The other person cheated. The teacher didn't know what they were doing. It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was your fault. You screwed up. You made a mistake. What would you do differently? Maybe you need to practice harder. Maybe you need to get to, sports 30 minutes earlier or in the afternoon. Maybe you need to work on this more. Maybe whatever it is, I mean, so many of these kids told me these wonderful stories about how, somebody wrote a newspaper. They wrote a newspaper in middle school and they put in who liked whom and everything. And the principal was, it sold out immediately, and the principal was furious, and all the other kids got in trouble. He said his parents thought it was hysterically funny.
Oh my gosh.
Somebody else told me how he was always, he liked to, pick pretty plants that he saw as he was walking around, and he came home with all these plants, and it turned out it was his neighbor's. And the neighbor came over and said, your son just picked all my plants. And the mom just started laughing. She said, sweetie, you just have to go back and plant them again. I mean, you have to fix it if you broke it, but it's like, it's not, you're not being punished for it.
No, and radical responsibility. Like this is something we have to teach our kids. Yeah, unconditional love and man, radical responsibility. No matter what happened, even if all of it's external, there's some part you played in that. What is that part?
Right.
Right. But also in the wins, like if you can take radical responsibility in the losses or the challenges, but even in the win, now you can take, if this is all me, this 100% is all me. Either way, what a joy.
Right. And so many of them, like they told me that because so many of them, and as I said, were elite athletes. I mean, I almost hated at the end of a conversation, I'd be like, by the way, did you play sports growing up? And oh yeah, I was on the Olympic development team for skiing. I was the national equestrian champion. I played soccer at Cornell. I played basketball at Brown. I mean, on and on and on and on. And all of them told me, it's like, what I learned doing this is like how to pivot, how to survey the course. Before I go into a meeting, how to prepare for a meeting, how to pivot when things aren't working, how to adjust and try to figure out like how I'm going to do it differently. I mean, and one of my favorite, if your audience hasn't seen it, Roger Federer gave the commencement address at Dartmouth a year ago. Mm-hmm. The tennis player, the world's best tennis player, and he said, even though I won 80% of my matches, I lost 50% of the points I played. If you're constantly focused on what you've lost, you're never going to succeed.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So I'd love to talk about another one of the rules, passion. And
yes.
I think parents, not all, some worry that passion doesn't look practical, like gaming and YouTubing and music. Like, how do they need to shift that paradigm of thinking, first of all?
Well, that's the main goal that I have with promoting this book, is I want to tell them, yes, it'll be okay. Like, let them do what they love. I think often about the college admissions scandal. You remember that? And these parents basically were saying to the kids, if the school knew the real you, they wouldn't want you.
Bingo. Oh my God. Okay, I'm stopping you. Yes. And yes, that's such a great way to put it. Sorry, I just had to quote that. I'm so good.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And they're like, if you don't go to this school, you can't be a success in life. And this school wouldn't want you if they knew who you were. And so we have to pretend you're somebody different from what you are, because otherwise you can't succeed. Every time I think about this, I want to scream. Mm-hmm. Let them do what they love. Let them do what they're good at. Let them do what gives them joy. Oh. Let them pursue this. Let them see how it goes. Maybe they'll pivot. Maybe they'll keep it up. Maybe they'll say, so many of these entrepreneurs, their passions morphed over time. Yeah. And honestly, as I said, like only one person became a professional athlete for a few years. And except for the artists, none of them are doing anything with their passion today.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you have a passion, to get back to your question, if you have a passion that you've chosen, that you're working really hard at, you're getting good at it because you're working hard at it. Yeah. And when you fail, you're changing and you're pivoting and you're getting resilient and you're getting better and you're getting the confidence that if you work really hard at something, you can get good at something and you can be successful. And it's this confidence which comes from knowing you can do it. Not that your parents fixed it for you, but that you can do it. Having this confidence is what gives you the ability to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. To become, I think to become successful in life. And as I say, like they're all doing something different today, and that's okay.
Yeah. Listen, I started off, I got out of high school. I was a hairdresser, then owned a couple of salons, got bored, started teaching hairdressing, fell into like a special education class. Oh my God. Went back to university, became a teacher, then became and then podcaster and starting a business. And I'd love for you to speak to parents about how you can identify or help the kids identify what their passion is. And I say that because when I first launched into business, it was coaching women. Like, things are going off. What are your goals? All of that. And it was great. It was helpful and it was great. But when people said, what do you do? I would say that. And then I would say, also, I'm a special education advocate. Like, I help parents who don't have a voice, I help the kids. And my elevation would go from like 0 to 10. And I finally thought, okay, Cheryl, this is what you should be doing, because the fire that comes out of your mouth when you're talking about helping parents with kids with IEPs is insane. Like, you know what I mean? So I would love for you to like help parents foster and help kids identify what their actual passion is.
So I believe every child is born with a gift. Mm-hmm. And I believe our number one job as a parent is to help them figure it out and to support it. Mm-hmm. I was with my son and his wife looking at kindergartens for their son. Mm-hmm. And on the wall, the teacher had asked all the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they drew like a picture. And it was like, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a dancer. I want to be a painter. I want to be a gardener. I mean, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. That probably none of them will end up being any of those things. The point is, they're telling you. They're shouting it out. Yes. It's not hard to see. Just look what gives them joy. We were at a restaurant and with this same little grandchild, and some dancers came out. And after a few minutes, my grandson said, I'm bored, can we leave? And I said to them, somebody else's kid is going to say, oh my God, can I take lessons? I want to do that. Yeah. They're different. Watch them. See what gives them joy.
Oh, so good.
And then tell them to spend more time at it. And then
there you go.
And then tell them how proud you are of their success in that.
Yes. Yes. Do more of that, please. So good.
It doesn't have to be anything you know anything about. We were lucky raising our kids because they both had a passion outside of school. Mm-hmm. My older son played tennis, like literally 5 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mm-hmm. And my younger son wrote music. He wrote 300 songs before he graduated from high school. And we don't play tennis and we don't know anything about music. And I realized only when I was writing the book that this was a really good thing because they had to figure it out themselves. Mm-hmm. And if they had been interested in anything I knew anything about, because I'm really helpful, I would have been all over them with advice. Yes. And suggested, try it this way, meet this person. I couldn't do that. And they had to figure it out. And that turned out to be great. And my younger son is still a musician. And my older son just plays tennis for fun.
That's amazing. I know you have a number of rules. Can we pick one more favorite to talk about?
Ooh, yes. We kind of touched on this a little bit, but how about don't worry about straight A's?
Oh, thank you. Yes.
And yes. I hate to say this to a teacher.
That's okay. I'm good.
But again, if you have a great student who just loves to study, that's wonderful. I personally am a big fan of colleges not just looking at grades and SAT scores, because these are people who've basically learned to give the teacher what they want. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. We need a lot of those in the world, mm-hmm. but they're not going to change the world. Yeah. They're not going I guarantee you that Bill Gates and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg weren't like straight A students. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you want your kids to end up being those people. But so many of these kids, look, there are people in the book, they breeze through Ivy Leagues. They got advanced degrees. They were always great students. And there's so many other people in the book who were either they weren't good students, or they were only good at certain subjects, or they just didn't like the whole school thing. One of my favorites, and it's someone I know well, Benny Blanco. He's a very famous musician at this point, just married Selena Gomez.
Oh, okay. I recognize that name. Yeah.
And his mom told me that when he was in kindergarten, she'd get called every week by the kindergarten teacher saying, Benny won't sit in the circle.
Oh my gosh.
And she'd say, so, and he said, like, when he was in high school, all his teachers thought he was really annoying. And then his mom found him a music teacher outside of school who said he was the most talented kid he'd met in 20 years.
Incredible.
And that meant more to him than the fact that his teachers found him annoying.
Good.
And, you just have to be there as a parent. If your kid, he obviously had a great mom, and you have to be there for your kid and see what gives them joy and see what they're good at, and then be proud of them for their success in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. There's so many, in high school, there's such a system that is not built for all of our kids. And so when kids get to grade 12, and I talk to parents, kids are on an IEP and they've just struggled like crazy, but they've struggled because they're this round peg fitting into a square that's just not happening. But when they start, I think it relieves parents to understand that when these kids now go to post-secondary and or entrepreneurial, they're choosing their own path. In high school, they have to take this, they have to take that. They have, there's such a restricted number of different courses they must take. And within these four walls of sitting down for 80 minutes and trying to it's barbaric in some ways for our kids. And then they get to choose. They get to choose their college or university. They get to choose their passion. And you would not recognize your kid when you get them out of that system. And I'm not saying it's terrible. I worked in the public school system. But what I am saying is that when parents start panicking in grade 9 and 10, thinking, oh my God, what is this kid going to do in grade 12? There is a way. And when you foster their passion, as you're talking about, there is a way.
Right. So my older son discovered tennis when he was about 12. And eventually that just became, his passion. And as I said, he was playing like 5 hours a day, and so at 12, I don't know how much you know about tennis, but all the kids who end up top 100 in the country, they're already playing regional tournaments.
Okay.
And he was playing like local tournaments and losing. He'd walk off and say, I know what I did wrong. I'll beat them next time. And he said, I want to do a regional tournament. I'm like, I wasn't trying to inspire him. I just didn't see the point. I'm like, I'm not taking you to a regional tournament if you haven't won a local tournament. So, anyhow, he ended up 35 in the country in the juniors.
Oh my gosh.
And he was honored by the tennis center where he trained later for what he had done outside of tennis. And he said, everything I am today is because of tennis. He said, I didn't really like school. I wasn't that good at school. Everything I am today, my grip, my focus, my determination, my resilience, my creativity, everything is because of tennis.
Oh, so good. That's a great message. Oh,
and I guarantee you, he was not the top student. I guarantee you, if you looked at his class, no one would have guessed he would have been one of the most successful kids in the class, and he is.
Wow, that's incredible. I would love, okay, Margot, I want you to, if you can, and I know there's like 99, can you just pick one story about a student that you can tell us? So listeners get an idea of what this book is, and then they can run out and get it.
So John Chu, who directed Wicked.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And he is the nicest person. He did a book talk with me when my book first came out. His parents have a wonderful restaurant in Palo Alto called Chef Chu's. And he's one of 5, and his parents were immigrants. And his parents wanted the kids to be, doctors or lawyers or whatever. And he fell in love with making movies in about 4th grade. And so I think he was like a freshman in high school, and he was supposed to be, studying or sleeping. And he was like in his room, like doing a movie on his laptop. And his mom came in and said, put that away. You need to be prepared for school tomorrow, and you stop wasting your time on this. He burst into tears. He said, this is what I love. This is what I want to do for my life. She said, go to sleep. We'll talk tomorrow. And she picked him up at school the next day, and she'd been to the library, and she had 10 filmmaking books. And she said, if you want to do it, be the best.
Oh, I love that. What a message. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Margot, oh my God, I feel like we could talk forever. But okay, I want to ask you something. Is there something I didn't ask that you want to share?
I just want to, you basically asked all the questions. I just want to urge parents, like, believe in your child. Ask them what it is they love, what they wish they could be spending more time doing. And then tell them you're so proud of them for what they're doing in that. And tell them that if they work hard enough at it, that they can be successful, and that you're going to be proud of them no matter what they end up doing. Oh, and by the way, I do have someone in here who's did video games, and ended up dropping out of college one semester short to become the first intern class at Electronic Arts, and ended up producing League of Legends, I think it's called.
Oh my God.
And they were refugees from Vietnam, and he came here like at 6, not speaking English. And the first time he went back to Vietnam, it was in a stadium for 100,000 people cheering to playing his video game.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Oh, I love this. I love this. Margot, before we wrap up, can you tell people where to find you, if they want to contact you, all the good things about Margot? I'm going to put on the show notes, but you tell us.
So my book's on Amazon. It's a hard copy, a Kindle, and I also read it, so it's an Audible. I'm at Margot Bisnow on Instagram, and I'm on LinkedIn. I always forget what I am on LinkedIn. I think Margot Machol Bisnow. And I have a website, Raising an Entrepreneur, and it has like links to all the articles I've written and stuff.
Fantastic. Margot, thank you so much. I know parents are going, oh my gosh, this is incredible, and I need to shift how I'm thinking about things. Yay. What a great message. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And thank you for listening to Parenting Teens Advice Redefined. Listen, this is the episode you need to share. I'm telling you. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time. Before you go, I really want you to know something. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm a speaker, a published author, and the founder of Insight to Impact. I'm an educational strategist and family advocate with over 25 years of experience helping families and schools support teenagers from diagnosis to IEPs, to interpreting assessments, to high school transitions, and beyond. This podcast, Parenting Teens Advice Redefined for Today's World, is part of my mission to help parents understand schools, support their teens, and feel heard and seen at the table. If today's episode helped you, please subscribe or follow the show, share it with another parent, and leave a review. It truly helps families find the support, and I'm very grateful when you do these things. And if your teen is struggling in school, navigating a new diagnosis, or you need help preparing support at school, you can work with me directly through educational consulting or my 90-day advocacy program. Just visit CherylPankhurst.com to learn more and to book a complimentary consultation to see if I can help. I know parenting is frickin' hard, but if you're listening to podcasts, if you're reading the books, if you're looking for answers, you are not failing because you're still trying. You do not have to figure this out alone. I got you, and we'll see you next week.